Good morning, everybody. Hopefully, you guys are doing well. Today, I think we have 22 orders going out the door. I will check that for you right now. But we had a pretty good sales day for what seemed to be a really slow sales day yesterday. Obviously, when you're out and about like I was yesterday, I lied. Instead of, I guess that's today and yesterday, but we did 29 items sold. So we're shipping out, I think it's like 24 items or 25 items. So super excited about that. Yesterday we did about $1,100 in sales, $508 in profit, which is awesome. So today we're going to be shipping out eBay, Poshmark, Mercari, and Depop. So all four of them got sales. Not all of them are great sales, but all four of them did get sales. So we will begin with, let's do Mercari first. We'll do Mercari first. But if you guys are just hopping in, I appreciate you guys being here. My goal is to make this as seamless and easy as possible. So if you guys have questions, leave it in the comments. I'm going to try and answer as much as I can, or to the best of my ability. I am not perfect, nor do I have all the answers, but I am going to give my best efforts. Good morning, Liza. Hopefully you are doing well this morning. Lisa or Liza, I'm not sure. I think it's probably Lisa, and I apologize. But let's ship out Mercari first. I need to grab a bag, or actually a box for these. And then I also need to grab more eBay bags because I think I'm running out of mine right now. So these eBay bags are super great because you can get them with your store subscription, and they only come in packs of 100, so I run out of them pretty quickly. But today, the first sale on Mercari, and I apologize about the boxes, they will be loud today. It's a new roll of tape, and every time you get a new roll of tape, it's a little bit loud. All right, so the first item that sold was, and again, like I said, I'm not just looking at my phone to look at my phone. It's where I have all my shipping stuff because you're on my computer. Today, the first sale on Mercari was a pair of Froats. So that's Froats. It's a pair of penny loafers. I can show you a picture of the ones that I took of them. They look like that. They're really nice pair of dress shoes. This is not a brand that I would typically pick up, truthfully. I did it more on a whim. So these were 75% off, and I think they had 10 of them. So they were listed at like $20, or I say listed. They were at the thrift store for like $20. They got all the way down to 75% off, and there was like 15 of them in different colorways, and I've actually sold most of them. So this is the last colorway, but I understand why, because this is like a green-white suede, and there's not a lot of green dress shoes that people buy unless they're like animal skinned or something. So I understand why those took a while, but they still sold for good money. So they sold for $50.15 on Mercari. So they are the only ones that I sold on Mercari today, but because they're dress shoes, I'm going to put them in the box. And that is the plan. So that was the only sale for Mercari today, but a $50 sale I'm not going to complain about, especially for one that has taken a little while to sell. So that's done, and we'll ship out the label. Hopefully y'all are having a good morning. If you guys have any questions or anything, let me know. Otherwise, I'll just keep talking about the sales that I had. Also, for those of you that can see me, would you prefer, I'm trying to get the angle right. So would you prefer to be able to see more of me, or do you want to see more of like the shipment? Because I can move the angle down. But that would help me out, because if you guys would prefer not to see as much of me and you want to see more of the shipment, I can do that. Or I can try my best to show more of the camera. That too. All right. That is going UPS, because right now Mercari has that $4.99 shipment out. And right now that $4.99 shipment has been really great. So that has been very helpful. Good morning, Bobby. How are you? It's a good morning here. I finally feel like it's starting to warm up again, which is nice after it being freezing for the last couple of days. If a pair of shoes has a this is a great question. If a pair of shoes has a really good sell-through rate, but the specific size I have has no sold or active listings, what would you do in this situation? If it has a good sell-through rate and it's not the size is no sold or active listings, I'm putting it on there. It depends though. It also depends on what you're paying. That's a big deal. And then I also think that let's just say it's a size 7.5 men's. That's going to be a smaller size anyways. But because you're the only active listing and it has a good sell-through rate, it means people are still wanting the item. So people may be looking for that size. So you may be able to put a little bit of a premium on it, or I always put a premium on the bigger sizes. I kind of price it on the lower end if it's a smaller size, unless it's a very rare pair of shoes. Hopefully that helps. That was my thought. But if it's got a good sell-through rate, I'm listing it no matter what. But it also depends on the price. Whatever angle works for you. Okay. Well, I'm gonna keep this angle, but if people are like, no, I'd rather see the shipment, I can move the angle down. I got a laptop stand to be a little bit more professional, so that way you guys can see a little bit better. But again, like I said, if that's this angle bothers you, we can switch it. No worries. All right, so that was one sale on Mercari. We have 3 on Depop, so we'll do that next. So we're going to use the free Ground Advantage bags because I like free stuff. And that's helpful. All right, first pair is a pair of Nike Zoom Gravities. This is not a model that is a newer model. This is an older model. These are a women's size. I think these weren't a great size either. They're women's size 10, so a little bit bigger of a size. I think I sold them. They're 6724 is my label. And I'm on, like we talked about a couple days ago, I'm on like 7,400. So it's been about 1,000 pairs have been listed between then. So I wasn't, and especially with Depop's like $2 to $3 fees, I don't mind taking that. I think I accepted like a $35 offer on it. I think I paid like anywhere from $12 to $15 for these. So making like $20 on them. Happy with that. And then we will move these on to the next home. But yeah, so those sold for, I think it sold for $35. I will have to check for you. I hate that you can't see it immediately. $37.49. So we had a boosting fee on that one. So it was $32.41 was my payout. Oh, we got a bunch of questions in here. What sizes do you thrift and not thrift? I have a size 5 and 6 that sits in the inventory, not moving. Yeah, 5 and 6 is not good sizes. I think the biggest thing is you got to think who are buying people that are size 5 and size 6. So it's going to be either kids or people that are not super tall, and that's a very small majority. So the 5 and 6 will sit, especially for women's, just because it's a smaller size, and it's going to take a smaller sized human, just naturally. So those will sit for sure. But I try and source. My best sizes are from like a 6.5, and that's very rare. That 6.5 sells quickly, but sometimes it does. So my goal for women's is 6.5 to like 9.5, 10. I don't mind picking up 10s. And then for men's, the best sizes are 9 to 12 would probably be my suggestion if you're just getting into shoes. Good morning. Good morning, everybody. Thrifting Grammy, good morning. I appreciate everybody being in here. Morning, Amy. What's your average cost of goods? Do you just shop at your local thrift? Most of the time, yes. There are some times where I'll go and shop at other places, but most of the time it is local thrift. My average cost of goods is getting expensive. The last couple weeks was anywhere from $12 to $10, which is amazing. And then the last 3 weeks have been $14 to $15. Some of the thrifts around here changed their pricing system, which is a little frustrating. And I'm now paying a little bit more, which is okay, but that's what my average cost of goods is. So sometimes I like to churn and burn these little sales. So for example, this is a pair of shoes that I am probably not going to pick up anymore. These are Travis Matthews. These are called, what are these called? They're called the Daily 2.0s. This is not a brand that I would typically pick up anymore. These sold for $37, and I'm going to receive $32.04 after fees on Depop. And I probably paid $14 to $15 for those. So I'm making like $17. It's a great double up for me. But it's not a brand. It's a bread and butter brand that I'm probably going to stay away from unless I can get it for a lot cheaper. But still a sale. Still making double my money on this, which I'm more than happy to do. So that doesn't bother me whatsoever. And I think that that's different for different people. Some people are looking for a double, triple up. But when I'm paying 15 and then I'm making another $17, instead of paying like 4 and then making 4, I prefer that. That's just me. But that is how I like to think about it. Because otherwise I'll get sad if I'm only making $17 a thing. But my average cost or my average profit is around 27, I think, this month. So these lower ones contribute, definitely the bread and butters, but the big hitters like this one is really great. So these are a pair of, this next one is a pair of Jordan ADG 5 golf shoes. I really like them. Selling these ones because they sell pretty quickly, especially on Depop, because it is becoming golf season very soon, and all of my golf stuff is flying off the shelf. So trying to pick up as much golf stuff now as I can, knowing that golf season is right around the corner. Masters is coming up. All of the big events are coming up, so trying to get the golf stuff out is great. These sold for $70 on Depop. So like we were talking about, those ones I was making $15 to $17 in profit. This one I'm making a lot more than that. I don't know the exact amount, but it's definitely more than that. So $70 sale. They go in these boxes. These are the GA Box 2s. You can get them through the Ground Advantage. So that is very nice and helpful. There was a bunch of questions that came in. I like how you fit them in the bag so nicely. Well, thank you. My goal is to, I know that I'm putting them in a bag, so my goal is to make them look as nice as possible, knowing the fact that they're going to be receiving in a bag. So I put tape on them just to make sure that they don't flop everywhere, and I try and lay them into the bag really nicely, so that way they're able to, when they're able to pull it, they're pulling it in a way where it feels professional, even though it's just a normal Ground Advantage badge. Do you source from the Goodwill bins or flea markets? I do not. I would love to have somebody do that for me. So if you are watching the replay or you are live now and you don't like cleaning shoes and all that stuff, but you see what I pick up, or you watch videos about what I pick up, and you are interested in buying shoes and then me buying them from you so you don't have to list them, but you get money, I would love that. But there's not a flea market around here that sells shoes. Unless somebody knows of a place around here, I don't. So that was all of Depop. So now we're going to do Poshmark, which we had a few sales on. I'm not sure the amount. I can tell you 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We had 5 sales. So not bad. Definitely a little bit slower this month on Poshmark already, I can tell. But like I said, definitely not complaining about that. I think I answered everything. Brian, the shoe god. I'm not the shoe god. I wish I was anywhere close to that, but I'm not. Thank you for putting your work out there and helping others. That's my plan. That's the reason why I do all this, is just so that way you guys can see some brands that I've sold, because it doesn't bother me. They're now gone. So, but it's brands that I feel like is worthy of showing, for sure. So let's get into the next couple sales. That was scary noise. All right. The first Poshmark sale that we're going to do is actually a pair of sandals. Now, I have relentlessly told everybody that I try my best not to pick up sandals, but when they are $2, that is a little bit different. These were like $2.50. These are actually Cole Haan sandals, which is pretty cool. So I noticed the Cole Haans because of the sole. They look like the Cole Haan soles, and obviously there's a Cole Haan on the top. But these are actually 0 grand sandals. These are not terrible to look up for. I actually don't think that there was any listed, which was helpful on eBay, but I don't know about Poshmark and all that. But on eBay, there wasn't any listed in this SKU. So I'm not saying, let me be very clear, I'm not saying to go pick up every Cole Haan flip-flop that you see, or any flip-flop that you see, they will sell immediately. I'm not saying that. But this one was a good model. It was a men's size 10. It was good size. I paid like I said, paid like $3. These actually ended up selling on Poshmark for $40 plus shipping. So that's great. So that's 40 then turns into 32. So technically, obviously, I do cost of goods, but if you did like item by item price, like I know a lot of clothing sellers do, if you found them for $2 and then sold it for 32, you're making $30 on that. So that's great. I'm making, because they buy costed to $14.56 for me, I'm only making like $18, but I listed them on, when did I list them? I listed them Tuesday and they sold yesterday. So it took a day. So $17 in a day for me is wonderful. I will take that every day of the week. I have had well-worn once thong sandals break on the toe. I had to pad. I sell most of the sandals. I can't sell sneakers to save my life. No worries. You're a great shoe guru. I want your knowledge level as well as the thrift store you have close to me. I want the thrift stores that I see on Instagram, because the stuff that I say Instagram, on Facebook, I guess, because I don't have Instagram anymore. But the stuff I see on Facebook, these people like walk in and their stores are like stocked. The videos that I show you guys, there's like very few and far between. I'm taking these videos, like the last couple of weeks have like really sucked in terms of sales. So I'm like having to use backlogged stuff that I've had over the last couple of weeks. Now, let me be clear. The stuff that I am finding and the stuff that I'm posting, it's still within this year. So it's not like I'm taking videos from like 4 years ago and then putting it into there and then putting the comps on there. It's stuff that I'm finding now. But thrift stores have not been great. JB says, do you accept returns? Buyer pays return shipping. No. So I do accept returns, but I pay the return shipping. It's something that got me into Top Rated Seller Plus. It's something that got me into the Pre-Loved Partner program on eBay. It does hurt, but I actually don't get a ton of returns. I say that and I'll get like 4 now. But I think on average, month to month, I get like 6 returns for, I sell anywhere from 500 to 600 pairs on eBay. So it's like a 1 to 3% return rate for me. And most of the time its size doesn't fit, or if there is an issue, like I resolve it pretty quickly. So I'm blessed in that department for sure, but I do returns. I do. All right. Next one is a pair of New Balance Fresh Foams. This is the Arishi model. I wish that I could like pop up like the sold comp. Somewhere I should be able to do that. I can't. But these are the Arishi 4s. Again, a model that I'm not going to pick up very often. This is SKU number 5055. So that is not a model that I'm going to pick up often anymore, because it's been like, I've listed 2,700 pairs of shoes between this one. These sold for $38. My earnings is like $30. I'm making like $15 on these. So a lot of today was on all the other platforms, was a lot of bread and butter stuff, which is fine. But it's not something that like whenever I like sell these things, I take a look at when I do my sales. So I'm not just mindlessly doing it. I'm like, okay, these have been listed for 2,700 pairs have been listed between when this is sold and something like that. I'm not then going to go into a thrift store and go buy this exact pair of shoes again, unless there's significant discount on the price, or it's something that I feel like I could sell again. That was just a rare thing, but that was a good size, good width. It's just an older model, which is fine. It's just not something that I'm going to pick up again right now. So, look at who showed up this morning. What's up, Surf? Oh. All right. Because Surfs is here, and Surfs has better style than most people that I know, because he wears Polo Ralph Lauren, we'll do a pair of Jordans. So I sold these pair of Jordans for $45 plus shipping. Jordans is, as you know, one of those brands that I feel has a little bit more cult buying, and so it's under my price that I would normally box these, but it's a pair of Jordans. So $45, turning that into $36 on Poshmark. So I'm making $24, I think, on these, which is great. It took less than a month to sell, and I will take that. So, any tip of getting smoke out of sneakers? I had a friend give me a dozen or smell that smell like cigarettes. That's a great question. Sorry. Hopefully that's not terribly loud, because it's loud for me. The biggest thing that I have found with smoke is, it's going to sound very weird. But if you get a bag of coffee beans and you get a pair of brand new socks and you put the coffee beans in the sock and then you put the sock into the shoe, I have found that that is a great way to get rid of cigarette smoke. There's several other ways. Sunlight is very helpful with that too. So if that doesn't work, sunlight can help as well. But the best way that I have found is the coffee bean method. So you put coffee beans, just not like anything scented, but just like a normal decaf or just a normal blend, and then put it in sock, and that has helped for me in the past. I will pull that up so that way it's not just sitting here. All right, next pair is a pair of Kohans. This is the Morris Plain Toe. Actually, a pretty good model. I've sold these a couple of times. These sold for $40, but I listed them like 2 weeks ago. So 40 into 32, and then making some pretty good money on that as well. So, like I said, dress shoes are gonna get a box for me, even though it was only $40 sale. They still get a box. So this was the Kohan Morris. I think these are the 2.0s. Nope, these are just the plain toes. But still, size 12, good size, sold quickly. I will take that any day of the week. But this has been really nice, is like having my plan when I buy stuff is I go, if I've sold it before, can I sell it again, obviously? And then number two, if I've sold it before, is it a model that I sold quickly? And this is a model that I have sold several times, different colorways and stuff like that. It's something that I'm going to pick up and will sell quickly, especially in good sizes. Let me be very clear. In good sizes, they sell quickly. If you have a smaller size, they will take a little bit longer, but that is okay. All right, last sale on Poshmark. Don't know why that tape came up. Last sale on Poshmark is actually a very cool sale. So these are a pair of John Fluvog. I don't know if you guys have heard of that brand before. I don't know if they do clothing. I'm sure lots of you are here and not doing just shoes. But John Fluvog is an okay model, or an okay brand. Some of the stuff sells for really good money. Some of it takes a little longer. But this is a good model. I actually ended up paying up for these. I think I paid like $32 or $33. I listed them last night for $129. And somebody sent me an offer overnight, and they sold for $100. So $100, I'm making $80. That's going to make me around like $47 in profit after spending $33. That's amazing. So this, I don't think, is going to be able to fit into this box. We're gonna do some Tetris, I believe, with these. I don't think that they will fit in this box, which means I'm gonna have to get a bigger box, which is okay. But John Fluvog, they were called the Doozy model. It is not one that I've seen before. Oh yeah, those will go in that box. But they've got some pretty cool accents. They have like a face on the back of them. I don't know if you can see that. Right there, they've got like a face on the back of the shoe. They look like a shoe that I would never wear, but somebody wanted them for $100, and I'm not going to say no to that. So, good model, good brand. But 100 turning $33 into 100 is something that I am willing to do very often. So, we will put these in this box. Good morning. What size plastic bag do you use? Do you put the shoes in when listing? Thanks. Yeah, I will. I can actually send the link in the chat. I will do that right now so everybody has access to it. Give me 2 seconds. Let me put this on there, and then I will send the link in the chat. Make sure that that's the right buyer. It is. Perfect. All right, so Poshmark's now shipped out, and we've got eBay to go, and eBay's got a bunch of shipments ready to go. All right, so we asked for the bags, correct? That is what Lou said. What size plastic bags do you put the shoes in when listing? Yep. So I put them in your orders. This guy right here. This guy. This guy. copy link. There we go. And then there we go. So if you guys are looking for those bags, I just put it on the Facebook chat and the YouTube chat, but the bag that I use is right here. That Amazon link is great for those bags. It also helps out the channel, but they're 12 by 15s, and I also use 12 by 18s. So if you go through that link, you can get the 12 by 15s and the 12 by 18s, and that helps out the channel a little bit. All right, let's do eBay. There was last night when I went to bed, there was 10 sales. This morning when I woke up, there was 18 sales. So overnight we had a bunch. So we're gonna get into that. Good morning, Lavicha. How are you? And do you always use clear baskets for shoes? Yes. So every single one. I don't know if you can see. So all of these items are stored items that are waiting to sell, but every single one of them are packed in clear bags. The only thing that I do not use clear bags for is boots. So over here on the boot shelf, I'm gonna mess up the thing, but over here on my boot shelf and expensive sneakers and stuff like that, they go up here. They don't get a bag, but all of the stuff that I list, they all get a bag. So that way it's super easy to ship it in the shipments. Like I said, it's super easy to slide in and out of the bag. And then also for the buyer, there's a little bit more protection, I feel like. And I actually get lots of compliments about how the shipment is done. So that way it's not just shoes put in a bag. It's like actual protection for the shoes. All right, let's do eBay. We've got a bunch to do, and I am waffling a lot. All right, first pair was a pair I actually listed yesterday. So these I listed yesterday, and they sold overnight. So these sold, actually, I think they sold this morning. This is the Keen Durand model. Really nice model of shoes. They ended up being very clean when I cleaned them up. And these sold for $67.16, which was definitely a nifty offer, which is great. So Nifty sold those for me. So this eBay, I think I have anything over $59. I think I have it sending out a 15% out offer because I listed those at $79. So if somebody wants to do the math on it, I think that was a 15% offer. Yeah, that's definitely a 15% offer. So Nifty sent that offer out for me, and it sold overnight. So less than 24 hours listed. I will take that for sure. We will see if these fits in here. It definitely fits this way. Can we get the other one in? That is the question. That's going to be a no. All right. We will have to get a bigger box for these 2 seconds. Sometimes you can get them to fit in there depending on the size and the model and stuff like that, but I don't want to force the boot in there, and I have boot boxes for a reason, so we will use it. Yes, so hopefully I answered that question. If you guys have any questions while I'm shipping out eBay, please ask away. Any questions about eBay, about Nifty, about whatever. My goal is to help as much as I can, and I apologize that is very loud. But I'm just going to use the rest of this packing paper that I have. Put the boots in like I have told before. So I also have some extra bubble wrap because there's a little bit of a gap in these boxes because it's not necessarily a smaller pair. It's a size 9, but I have some extra bubble wrap, and I definitely have some weight that I can fill. I think I had these listed at 5 pounds, and they're like probably like 3.5 to 4 pounds. So I have some extra bubble wrap laying around that'll help the shipment not move. But yeah. So 3 pieces of tape on each side, making sure that it gets in. Good morning, Faith. How are you? All right. So this is going to Marietta in South Carolina. So that's not going to take very long to get to them, which is great. And then that shipment is out the door. Next one, we have a pair of Olukais. Not a brand that I am picking up anymore, truthfully. It is a brand that I have sold in the past. Well, but it is not a brand that I'm going to continue picking up. This was, like I said, 6131. Definitely a longer tail item for me. So it's not necessarily a brand I will continue getting at the cost that I'm normally getting at. These sold for $59 plus shipping, but they were new with tags. So I think I ended up paying like $16 for these, and although they were new with tags, they took a while to sell. So even with new with tags, it's not one that I'm going to continue picking up. All right, next one. I think I'm all caught up on the chat. So if you guys, again, like I said, if you guys have any questions while I'm answering this, I can see the chat, so I can kind of help. All right, next pair is a pair of New Balances. A New Balance 327s. Again, an older model. A couple years ago, these used to sell for like $70. These are now barely selling for $50. So these sold for $49, which is great. It's fine. It's a bread and butter sale for me on eBay. But these are going all the way to California. So this will ship very quickly. Hopefully getting to them by the end of next week. But that is what they look like on the label. I guess I shouldn't really show the label, but sorry. Basically, I tape on both sides, just making sure that the package is secure. And I actually think this looks really nice. So when the buyer gets it, you have an eBay label thing on the side, and it just shows that what you're getting is what you're getting. Again, I may be very biased towards that because I love eBay, but I think it's really cool that I can put eBay labels on here and people know exactly what they're getting. All right. Next shipment is a pair of UGG Tasmans. These were really popular about 2 Christmases ago. And for men, they're still selling really well. So these are really ugly color red. They're red and black. The colorway is not my personal favorite, but I listed these on Tuesday and they sold for $50 plus shipping. I listed them for $59. Somebody sent me an offer for $50, and that works for me. So these sold for $50 plus shipping, and they are going to Georgia, which would make sense because of the Georgia Bulldogs. So red and black, ugly color anyways, but it makes even more sense that it's going to a potential Georgia fan. So yeah, $50 on these. Great sale on that one. I will take that any day of the week if I can turn $15 into $50. All right, next one. I actually listed these last night as well. So with those Keen boots that we sold we just did about 5 minutes ago or so, I actually listed these Adidas NMDs. This was a collaboration with Indigo Hers. Never heard of it before, but the model is Into the Metaverse. So it's kind of funny. It's the whole like, what is the word? What's the thing that people were buying and then it ended up crashing? Crypto. Not crypto, but like the art pictures. I don't know what it is. Blockchain something, whatever. Basically, they're those, and I didn't think that they would sell very quickly. So I listed them at $49. Somebody sent me an offer for $42, and that's fine for me. So these are going not far, but they will be there probably in the next day or two. They sold for $42 plus shipping, so they get another eBay bag. I love selling shoes, but my Goodwill is so expensive on shoes. I hear that. My whole world is getting very expensive over here. All right. Next pair is actually, we've already made the box for it, so that's great. NFTs. Thank you, Dylan. Appreciate you. I could not, for the life of me, could not get it. It's NFTs and then crypto, and then technically you can buy NFTs with crypto, right? That was the thing. It was like the Bored Apes and like, the like all the different like things that you could like the characters you. I don't know. It was dumb. I think every single one of them crashed. I don't think there's any of them that are really holding value anymore. But this does hold value. This is a pair of Keen Utility Speedworks. This was a bad size too. So I had these listed for a while. This is 6375. I say bad size. It's not a bad size, just a smaller size. This is a men's size 8, 2E wide. So these are wide shoes, but these sold for $79 plus shipping. So almost $80 for that. The buyer's probably in well over $80. And I think I only paid like $15 for them. So great sale there. It definitely helps the average buy cost go up and my average profit go up when big sales like that happen. And we actually have another big sale right behind it. So that, because it's over $69, is getting in a box. Plus, I like the security of the box for those shoes. Next one is actually another good sale. So this is a pair of Nike Space Hippies. So these were in like almost like new condition. I was very proud of myself. I did a really good job of cleaning these. These are women's size 10, so a bigger size. But they sold for $69 plus shipping, which is awesome. So another good sale, taking some of the lower sales up a little bit with these bigger sales is helpful. Oh wow, we got a bunch of messages. Do you sell anything other than shoes? There are about 20 listings that I have. I have some clothing that's new with tags that I found, and then I have some very like. I also it's funny. I actually have some Nike belts. They had like a sale on them, and I got some Nike belts for like, I think it was like $4 a piece, and they're brand new as well. So, truthfully, no. I think 99% of my inventory. So I have over 1,400 listings, and I think like 30 listings are anything but shoes. So shoes is my game. So this is going to Georgia as well. All right, Ethan, good morning. Good morning. How are you? Do you promote listings on eBay to help with sales? I do. I do. So we talked about this a little bit on Tuesday. I'm never going to tell you to promote at a certain percentage because each business is different. Some people can only promote at certain percentages. But yes, I do promote. Does your wife help you with your business? She helped me sort all of this out. So she helped me move all of the shelves and stuff. But I am my only employee. So she was just doing it out of the kindness of her heart. But no, she has a full-time job. She is an amazing nuclear medicine tech. So she works with hearts and stuff like that. She is awesome. Her job is much harder than mine. But no, she does not work for me, nor does she really help within the sales. If she I have no problem if she comes in and helps, but she doesn't do it very often. She comes home and is very tired, as she should be. That's wrong. As she deserves to be tired because she's had a long work day. So this is my gig. She's got hers. That was confusing. Do you find the bigger shoes so well? I listed a boot 3 days ago, and that was a size 14 and sold today. Yeah, size 14 is a great size of boot because a lot of times they don't sell them in stores, so people have to look. They have to look online. But the biggest thing that I find is you have to make sure it's a good model first before you just pick it up and you can go, oh yeah, it's a size 14, whatever. It has to be a good model. So yes, I'm glad that you sold it. That's great. I picked up a pair of men's Sorels size 6.5, brand new condition for $1, but can't find any cups. Should I sell them as a women's size 8? You can list it as both. That would be my suggestion. So in your title, I would list it as men's size 6.5. Literally the next word after men's size 6.5, women's 8. That would be my next word. Don't separate them in the title. Put them together. You can list them as a women's size 8. Make sure you have a men's size 6.5 in that thing, because there might be people that are looking for a men's size 6.5 for their kids, or for an actual men's size 6.5. But a lot of times people are looking for women's 8, so that's a great way to put it in there as well. But for $1, that's awesome. She definitely has a tough job. I agree. It was a Sorel, but yeah, Sorel's doing really well right now, which is a brand that I stayed away from for probably a good portion of the year, and I'm back to picking them up. But when we get into the April, May, June time, I'm going to stop picking them up again. But all these blizzards are kind of helping the sale. I did not talk about this one. I apologize. It was a pair of Hokas. I really don't have to talk about why they sold. Hokas are great. These sold for $53 plus shipping. and they're going to Wichita, Kansas. All right. I think I'm all caught up on the chat now. All right. Next pair is, we've got 4 or 5 more pairs to go. Next pair is a pair of Ultras. These are Ultra Taurin 5s. These are in really great shape. These sold for $49 plus shipping. Again, Ultras, there's very great models in it, and there's some that I stay away from. It's like most shoes, like Brooks. I don't pick up the old running shoes, but some of the newer models sell really well. You just have to be careful with the brands. Ultra is a good brand though. So I will take the quick sale. I think I listed these. What was the SKU number? I can tell you. I listed these about a week and a half ago, and they sold for $49. So, all right. So, cool sale here. I actually bought somebody's store out. So somebody sent me a message and was like, "Hey, I'd like to buy, or I want you to buy my store out." And I was like, "Okay, let me just see the manifest / let me see what you got." And this was in here. I knew this was going to take a little bit while because it was a boys 7Y. So I listed, like we talked about, I listed these as a women's size 8.5. And the buyer asked if these were boys 7Y. And I said yes. And she was buying it for her son. And I gave her a deal on it. So these sold for $38 plus shipping. I typically, this is going to sound bad, I typically don't give in to sob stories. This was one where, like, the kid was very interested in the shoe. He seemed excited about it. I'm not making a ton of money on it. I think I'm making like $16 on it, but the kid seems excited about the shoe. And that's the problem, is I definitely get racked up into kid stop stories rather than I lost everything in my house fire and I need this for $2. I'm not doing that. We aren't doing that. Hi Ethan, I'm in Minnesota, so sourcing quality boots isn't difficult. Do you list boots year round? I definitely do, Chris. My biggest thing with boots is it has to be good models and it has to be good sizes, and I love selling boots. If I could sell boots primarily, I would. The storage of them sucks, but I love selling boots. But I list boots year round. I just stay away from like winter boots unless I can get them for really cheap, because it's kind of like when you get a jacket, if you're a clothing seller in the middle of the summer, it's not going to sell for as much in the summer as it would in the winter. And some people hold those listings or hold those things and don't list it during it, but I list year round. I don't care what it is, but I try not to pay as much as I would now when it's winter, if that makes sense. You're doing awesome on your lives. Very informative. Thank you. I'm trying. It's very hard. Is there a way to tell the size of the shoe if the size has been torn out? I know you clothing, you can measure pit to pit. Great question. It depends on the brand. Some of the ones you can look up. So if you look up, like, I'm going to make an example. We'll find an easy one. So like these Nikes, you can look up Nike shoe size chart, and they'll tell you like a centimeter dimension. So you can measure it with a tape measure. And you can measure the centimeters. Another thing you can do is put the shoes back to back. And then sometimes I have found that if you find certain brands, if you lift up the insole, it'll actually tell you on the back of the insole what the size is. Sometimes it doesn't, but sometimes it does. So that's my best suggestion for that. Also, if you guys are on YouTube or on Facebook and you guys aren't following or liking the video or something like that, I would appreciate it. It's something that I am trying to do. I know I'm not very good at it. I don't know why I just do those shoes. I need those shoes. I'm trying to get better at it. So if you guys are new to the channel, if you wouldn't mind liking it, or if you're on Facebook, following, or YouTube, subscribing, that would help me out. It makes me not necessarily feel good, but like feel like I'm doing something right. So if you guys are willing to do that, that would mean the world to me. And we've got 4 more shipments left. And then you can go find somebody else to watch. That is more fun than I am. What is the least profit you typically look for? That's that $15 to $16 mark. I don't want to go any lower than that. My average profit that I'm looking for is my average profit's around $26. Something just sold on Poshmark. Great. We might have one more sale to back up. All right, this next pair requires a box. These are a pair of Nike Air Max 95s, a model that I'm not typically picking up unless they are in perfect condition. These are in perfect condition. I paid $30 for these. These were actually a Nike ID model, which means that they were customized. And that gray and black colorway seems to be a really good model / colorway of those. And I actually listed them Tuesday, and they sold today or last night for $99 plus shipping. So great sale there. Very excited about that. I think I listed them at $129, and they sold for $99. I think that's what it was. No, I listed them at $99, and somebody took a coupon, so they got a 10% coupon on it, which is great. So that sold very quickly. So $30 into $100, basically. Very good. I will take that for sure. All right. I think I'm all caught up on the chat. I watched Search K-Way, Chris at Peak, and now you. Well, I appreciate that. I will take dead last on that, as I should be, but I will take dead last on that. All right, next pair is a pair of a shoe brand that I am slowly starting to pick up again because it's becoming more and more time, kind of like the golf thing. Tennis / pickleball shoes. People are able to start playing tennis again. It's getting a little bit warmer. These actually didn't end up having insoles in them, so I sold them without insoles, and they sold for $42 plus shipping on an offer. Not a nifty offer, but an offer that somebody sent and accepted. And it actually is selling to a doctor, which is pretty cool. So one of the doctors, I say one of the doctors, a doctor picked these up, and they sold pretty quickly. I think I listed these. The number was 7608, so I listed these last week, and they sold. So that is good for me. Next pair is a pair of Adidas X PLRs. Not a model that I'm necessarily familiar of, but this black and gum model, a black and gum colorways for Nike seems to do pretty well for me. These are going to California, and these sold for $49 plus shipping. And then technically we have one more. I have a tip. I find rolls of plain brown packing paper at Home Depot cheap in the paint. I'm assuming the paint department. Like a big roll, 5 to 7 boxer rolls. Such a deal. That's a great idea. I will definitely look into that. I have not heard of that before. But if that's packing paper or paint, like if it's something that I can put in there and it's cheaper, I am all for it. Packing paper that I get, I think it's like a cent a paper. So if it beats that, I'm all for it. All right, that one is out. We got one more, unless we want to ship out that other Poshmark order. But I always feel weird about shipping the Poshmark orders as soon as I get them. And I don't know how y'all feel about it. But like technically they have, on an offer, they have like 15 minutes to cancel it. On a buy it now, they have 3 hours to cancel it. So I don't want to package it and then they're like, oh yeah, I'm going to cancel it. I don't know how y'all feel about that. How do you remove the marker priced in the bottom of expensive women's heels? That is a very good question. I am not going to be a great answer for that. I don't pick up women's heels very often. When I have, I've been able to get it off with acetone, but if it's a certain color, you can't. I've also never had a problem. Now, I'm talking if it's like Christian Louboutin or like Prada or something, you may not want to do this, but there's certain models, and I might be terrible for this, but I will just Sharpie over the price. So I'll just take a Sharpie and roll over it. Some people don't like that. I know, but I do that with a lot of my shoes, and I never really have a problem with it. All right, final pair on eBay is actually going to the authentication program. Paint department. Okay, that's what it was. So these are going to the authentication program. We actually, if you were with me a couple days ago, I actually ended up cleaning these on live. These are the Solomon Ultra 4s, the X Ultra 4s. These were like new. They're in such good shape. And these actually ended up selling for $71 plus shipping, which is awesome. And I actually didn't have to pay for shipping because they sold via the authentication program. So they go with the eBay shipment to and from the authentication program. So I was excited about that. that I didn't have to worry about that. The only thing I have to do is pay 86 cents for this box because it's dumb and I have to ship it through FedEx. But these are at the door. Excited about that. For sure. I think I'm all cut up on the chat. All right. We got 27 people in here. What's up, everybody? Alrighty. So that is technically the last shipment of the day. But like I said earlier, we just got a Poshmark one. So I will actually probably end up shipping that because I'm sitting right here. So let's go and see what they've got. So orders. These sold for $44. So they sold on an offer. And 7727. I think I just listed these, which is helpful because they will be right here then. Is that this one? Nope. Is it right here? It is. Even better. All right. We got one more shipment. Who pays for authenticity of shoes? You or the buyer? No. So the buyer pays to get it shipped to the authenticator. And then once it's authenticated, then eBay sends it to them. So they're paying technically two payments. So I think it's like $14.95 for shipping, which is very expensive. But basically the reason why they're paying that is so that way it gets shipped to the authenticator and then they then ship it. So they're paying for shipping twice. How often do you have an item on eBay fail authentication? Great question. It's probably once or twice every quarter. Sometimes it's dumb things like it didn't match the description, like it was a little bit more used or something like that. But I rarely have them where they fail because they're not real. So that was a really good question, though. Sorry, I am so bad about actually showing the question. All right, last shipment of the day, I believe, unless there was something else that just popped up randomly. Let's see what eBay is saying. No more from eBay. Poshmark's the last one. All right, so these were the Nike Sabrina. So this is Sabrina Ionescu. I think that's how you pronounce her name. She's got a pair of Nike lines. They sell pretty well for me. These are women's size 9. They're a basketball shoe. And these sold for $44 while we were on live. So $44 turning into $35.20. And I paid $14. So I'm making like 18 bucks on those. Like I said, I listed them 2 days ago. We'll definitely take that. 100% we'll take that. So a lot of the bread and butter stuff today, which is great. When you get a lot of bread and butter plus some really good hitters in there, it ends up being a pretty good day. So that is, I think we were all in total about 27 orders, which is awesome. I can't really show the floor right now. But yeah. Let's see. Do you get in trouble when an item fails? No. Unless I don't think you do. Now, if you do it consistently, I think you can, but I've never gotten in trouble for an item failing it. Now, let me be very clear on this. Do not send in fake items knowing they are fake. They will then catch on to that pretty quickly. Send in correct items. If something fails, they understand, but then they cancel the sale, send a refund to the buyer, and you don't want to go through that whole process. So make sure you check your items before you send it there. All right, so we shipped out a ton of orders today. Actually just got a Depop offer, which is hilarious, but I'm not going to take that. So about 25, I think there was like 22 orders. I think there was about 25 to 28 orders today. Thank you guys so much for hanging out. I'm going to try tomorrow. I think I've got enough stuff. Tomorrow, I think I'm either going to, what would you prefer? We've got 24 people in here. Would you prefer me go live around 7:30, 8 o'clock and do a shipping live? Or would you prefer me to do a cleaning live? I'll give it a little bit of time so that way you guys can answer. But what would you prefer? Would you rather prefer me do a cleaning live tomorrow or packing? I can do either. But I would love to know what y'all think. I'm happy to do either. I just have to turn the camera. That's all I have to do. So let me know. We only have, how many? We've got 2 more of these eBay ones. So in the meantime, I'm going to take my new labels or new ones. Look how pretty this is. The way that they package this is like my favorite. Look at that. all of these ready for tomorrow. Put those in. So I don't know if you guys can't really see it. Cleaning. Okay, cleaning it definitely is. All right, we'll definitely do a cleaning one. So tomorrow, I'll try and do a cleaning live tomorrow. My guess will be it's around this time, so either 7:30 or 8 o'clock, or it may go all the way to 8:30. I will have there will be a ton of pairs. So I've got here's my fun dilemma that I have. I have to deal with all of that this week. So as you can see, I've got a ton of inventory prepared and ready. I just need to actually clean them. So that will happen tomorrow. We'll do that tomorrow. We will. I appreciate Dylan. Thank you for having the both thing. I like these packing liners because you can actually see what I'm selling and what they're selling for. But I guess cleaning live is also helpful for people that are learning how to clean shoes as well. But for now, I appreciate you guys being here. Thank you guys for hanging out. It means the world to me. Like I said before, if you guys aren't following, please do. It really means the world to me that y'all are here. If you guys like it, hit the little like button on Facebook or on YouTube. That also helps. I know it seems really dumb, but it helps my channel out a little bit. Pushes it out to more people. So that way, maybe when we get a little bit bigger, I can help more and more people. So I hope you guys have a great day. Enjoy your Thursday, and I'll see you tomorrow for a clean.